Coming up on today's Browns Report episode, Deion Sanders revealed a lot about the Cleveland Browns. We're going to take a look at it, but before we dive in, I want you guys to tell me in the comment section the percent chance that Shedeur Sanders starts all 17 games. On a scale of 1 to 100, what percentage would you give it that Shedeur is the Browns starter every game this season? We're going to look at everything Deion Sanders revealed about Todd Monken and the quarterback battle. Let's get into it. Welcome into the show, presented by Prize Picks. I'm your host, Joey O'Donohue, and the first major takeaway we get from Deion Sanders, I think this is really interesting. He's going to meet with Todd Monken to discuss his son, Shedeur Sanders. The direct quote from Deion reads as so. I want to meet him because I think it's vital that as a coach, not the dad, I can tell him a few things about Shedeur, how to get him going. I do actually think that's a fine idea. Deion is saying, he's meeting with him because he's coached Shedeur before. Not because he's his dad and he's going to make the case for the starting QB job, but he's saying Shedeur as a player, right, Deion has coached him, brought the most out of him at Colorado. He's going to let Monken know how to get the most out of number two. And Sanders did say at the podium a few times, he loves positive reinforcement. He feeds on positive reinforcement. Maybe that's a theme with some of the young guys these days, right? But Shedeur said one thing he loved about Coach Monken was that Monken spoke life into him, okay? He said he believes in him. He didn't really have that relationship with Kevin Stefanski last year, who, didn't give out game balls to the rookie quarterbacks that got their first win, simply just gave him a nice job. Sanders doesn't feed off of that, okay? And he said that Monken brought a new vibe and a new energy to practice already, and you could see Shedeur was smiling while talking about that. Some more from Deion, though, about what he thinks on Todd Monken for his son. He says, I love him. He's a straight shooter. He's into the now, right? We're focused on what's happening now, not the history, not the past of this Cleveland Browns team, not the narrative that's surrounding it, the stigma, if you will, but we're here right now. We're looking to change and turn around the franchise right here, right now. Also said he's going to make Shedeur do what he does, right? This is a coach that will actually help benefit bringing the most out of the quarterback because that's what Monken does. And finally, he's really excited to have that conversation with Monken and talk about, having to bring the most out of Sanders. Also said, quote, and this was interesting from Deion, this wasn't asked of me a year ago to me. Which, when you think about it, well, what's the issue with it? What's the problem? Why wouldn't you meet with Shedeur's former head coach to talk about bringing the most out of him? And so I like that Monken is open to do this and that Deion is excited to do it as well. And I would actually agree. Obviously I'm hoping Shedeur is the starter this year. I'm done watching Watson. But regardless, I do think Monken brings the most out of the quarterbacks wherever he's gone, college football, pro football. He has adapted to a multitude of different styles of quarterback. We're talking Lamar Jackson, unanimous MVP, and his best career passer rating when Todd Monken is his offensive coordinator. Jameis Winston, his best passing stats when Todd Monken was his offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay. Same with Ryan Fitzpatrick. Some magical weeks 1 to 4 for Fitzpatrick. And even Stetson Bennett. I mean, the guy had Stetson Bennett as a Heisman finalist, guys, at Georgia. Look at the numbers in 2022 for Stetson Bennett, of all people. And Georgia won back-to-back national championships, and they have not won a playoff game since Todd Monken left the program. That is telling. And so I love what Coach Monken, who's calling the shots now, who's calling the plays, who is in charge of this organization and offense, could do for Shedeur going forward. Coming up, we got some more things that Deion Sanders told us about last year's draft process with Sanders and some other Browns news. That's what's going to come up on the back half of the show. But also, I want to show you guys the Prize Picks lineup I got. Cleveland's in a Game 7 tonight, folks. We'll be live on our Cavs channel for it. Come support. But $25 to pay out $52.50. Guys, I could double my money here with Prize Picks' max discount. They're letting you pick Cade Cunningham to score more than half a point. All I need is 1 point from Cade Cunningham, and then you can pick any other player on any other team. And I'm picking James Harden in a Game 7, more than 13.5 points. He's done that every game except one in these playoffs. Am I crazy for choosing Harden of all players? We find out tonight, but I'm very optimistic about my lineup. Prize Picks is super easy to use, guys. It's the place to go if you love daily fantasy sports, and player picks are on fire right now as playoff basketball gets going. Just pick more or less on a few player stats and lock in your lineup. And here's a new user offer. If you download the Prize Picks app today and use code HMA, you get $50 in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. The link is in the comments section and description of today's video, and that is code HMA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It is good to be right. Let's talk about what Deion had to say about last year's draft process, 2025, that is. Said that Shedeur went through hell. This is a direct quote from Deion here on Garrett Bush's show, The Barbershop. Shout out G. Bush. Sanders also said that Shedeur matured spiritually through that process, and I do think that was accurate. A lot of people, get mad when Shedeur is asked if he was humbled through that process, but Deion is saying it, I think, the right way. He matured through that, and it was definitely happened for a reason. It was necessary, I would argue, for his development. It bothered Deion, but not Shedeur. He said it did not get to Shedeur. He was happy to be drafted. He was jumping in the pool, grateful to be drafted by the Cleveland Browns, and so that was something to celebrate as a Browns fan at the time. Deion did say that the pre-draft reports, there was some ignorant things had come out about him pre-draft and all that, and that was a lie. Like, he would never go into a meeting with headphones on. He would never go into a meeting unprepared. That is just not who he is. There is no way he could accomplish the things he accomplished without being prepared. So Deion is saying a lot of those pre-draft reports are straight lies. And Deion has definitely been vocal about a lot of different things surrounding his son and the narratives around him. He said it's all lies. He's called out Mary Kay a ton of times, and rightfully so. But it was a very strange fall. A guy who, was projected to be the second overall pick to the Browns in a lot of mock drafts. Ends up being the 144th pick to the Browns still. In the 5th round, was a first-round talent by most. And so you had to wonder, was it pre-draft interviews? Why did this slide happen? Maybe the combine interview had a factor in it where he said, do you know who my dad is? I could see that rubbing some teams the wrong way. I actually loved how he said, if you don't want to change the franchise, then don't come get me. That's what I want to hear, especially for an organization that is looking for their franchise quarterback, and that has been their search for so long. And so this fall was strange, but that's in the past now, and Deion said it was because of some lies. Now, I will admit that Mel Kiper, who is Shedeur's biggest fan, he did say that some GMs told him Shedeur would probably be a third-rounder if his last name wasn't Sanders, if his last name was Smith. A lot of others did have him as a first-rounder. Well, then everybody passed on him, and we're not sure why. But there is that element of it that the name, according to some folks in the NFL, boosted his stock, whereas Mel was saying he's the best quarterback in the draft regardless. So I need to know, Browns fans, when it comes to Cleveland landing Shedeur and where we are now, were you happy that the Browns were able to draft him in the 5th round? Type yes or no in the comments section, and feel free to elaborate. But yes or no, were you happy that the Browns drafted Shedeur in the 5th round? I was celebrating at the time on my couch, and I'll never forget, I was mad about the Gabriel pick in the 3rd round. Those two at least should have been flipped. But the main story as we wrap up today's show is the quarterback battle is underway, and Deion gives us some insight here. I think that if you are someone rooting for Shedeur, this is a positive that Deion is going to help aid Monken in what brings the most out of Shedeur. And so we will find that out if he wins the starting job. There's still a chance it is Watson for the first couple weeks, but I would like to guarantee that Shedeur plays this season in some capacity in most of the capacity, and we will find that out before the 2027 draft. But that will do it for today's Brown Support episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Joey O'Donoghue. Always love chopping it up and talking Browns football. So I got daily videos coming your way. If you're not subscribed, hit that sub button for free. I'll see you guys soon here on the show.